So I wanted to share just a little bit about NOVA. This is not going to be, a lecture session on who we are, but just to give you a little orientation because it explains why we did this program and what we're interested in seeing. Um, so we are a think tank. We describe ourselves as a heart-centered think tank that takes action for people, places, and the planet. And health is in our name, it's our focus. And when we talk about health, we look at the entire lived experience that influences health. That includes people, places, and our planet, which is in our tagline. Our mission is to catalyze new ideas in health, understand the complex network of factors that influence health, and promote the well-being of individuals, communities, and the planet. And our work, so a lot of our work, we look at the full spectrum of health, healing, and flourishing through many lenses. Really key to NOVA is that we're interdisciplinary, and our scholars and fellows come from all different walks of life and all different disciplines. And that's why we look at health through many lenses like nature, art, nutrition, planetary health, primary care, social determinants, lifestyle, equity, all these different lenses. So we have four main strategies at NOVA. Our scholars and fellows, which the Media Fellowship is a new part of. So that is really the heart of our work. We have 25 scholars and fellows working in many different disciplines. We have forums. So we conduct in-person and online forums where we talk about sticky issues of our times. We have demonstration projects. So although we're not a direct service organization, our scholars and fellows do conduct really interesting demonstration projects that we then share and replicate those findings. And then outreach. Outreach is really important to us, making sure the work of our researchers and our thought leaders don't just sit on the shelf, but get out there, which is, one of the reasons why the Media Fellowship is so important to us. Of our Media Fellowship program, we created it to increase the public understanding of these connections between people, places, and the planet, and to really get our scholars and fellows do an incredible job of publishing in peer-reviewed journals and really wonderful places, but we really wanted more of these stories of the interconnections between the health of people, places, and the planet to be more in a wider media and to reach more people. So that goes to, our primary goals, increasing media coverage that reflects this broad vision of health. That's really important, the broad vision, science-based, embraces solutions journalism and combats mis and disinformation. And we also want to disseminate innovative research and ideas to audiences in understandable and engaging ways. And I just want to share briefly, obviously, none of you need to be just like any of these media fellows, but if you're interested, we had an amazing set of media fellows for our first year. So they started last fall and they're more than halfway through. They're doing amazing work. We post all their publications on our website, so I encourage you to check that out. You might get kind of a sense of what they're like. So Virginia Guin is looking at particulate matter pollution. Kate Morgan is looking at Appalachia, and Layla Nargi is looking at water poverty and food insecurity. And all of their projects, again, aren't just about that one specific topic, but many different health and community influences. Zoom upgraded on me today, but it's doing some very strange things. Zoom thinks I'm speaking French right now. Okay. So I'll quickly go over the eligibility. Again, all very, very much detailed on our website, so I don't want to be too repetitive. But obviously, first step, do you meet these basic eligibility guidelines? We get a lot of questions about these, so I thought I'd just run through them. We do want people who have been at some point in their career full-time journalists. That doesn't mean right now. You might be in a different career right now. Could have been years ago that you were a full-time journalist, but you have an established record of publication. The fellowship last year and this year is for US-based journalists only, so people who are living, working, getting paid in the US. But it's totally fine to touch on international subjects And if you want to use any of your stipend for international travel, that's absolutely fine too. We encourage applications from marginalized communities. The time commitment, the beginning of fall this year, it's 12 months. We hope it'll be about 35 hours a week. Ideally, your only full-time work. For a year, that's the whole point of us giving a pretty generous stipend, is so that you can really just take a year off and dive deep into a subject that you care about. We do bi-monthly check-ins, quick half-hour check-ins with our media fellows, and we expect them to attend our in-person annual meeting in Baltimore. And that is at the end of September. I'll share that timeline in a minute, but that's definitely a pretty strong requirement. And we also encourage participation. We have monthly Scholars and Fellows calls that we encourage you to participate in. And we have other online events and forums that, if that interests you, that's great. As far as the deliverables, I think it's really important, because it is a year-long fellowship that we see in your proposal, a year's worth of full-time ambitious work. I would say that is really will make your work stand out, and that you aim to reach target audiences. We want to hear a little bit about who you want to reach and how you're going to do it. That will make a good proposal. I think one of the most common questions that we got last year were, can I share my proposal with you? Can you tell me if it's right? Here's 3, which one do you like best? And we're not here to give you sort of that level of guidance. I think you have a very wide latitude in your topic. I think what's most important in the topic that you choose is that it is not reductionist. It's not just about one single thing. And we've certainly seen some really great proposals, but they were so specific. We really want to see, how does this particular issue connect to other issues? How does it incorporate a broad view of health? We definitely also very much espouse the solutions journalism approach. So, not just reporting on a problem, but what are people doing to fix the problem? Or what responses are out there? What's happening? What's the community doing? And then the next 3 bullets here I wanted to share, again, not to be prescriptive, but these are areas that we care a lot about. So we care a lot about, we have a special new project we're working on mental health and emotional well-being. So we're really interested in that topic area. And I would anticipate that probably one of the 2 fellowships might reflect that. It's not prescriptive, it's not defined. Maybe both will, maybe 0 will, but we definitely are encouraging those. And we did see a few good ones in that category last year too. We also welcome projects that examine political, historical, social dynamics that have led to health inequities. I think that you'll see in our media fellows for this year, they weave that into all of their work. I think that's really an important part of who we are and what we do. And we also really like to see projects that, look at the different touch on various sectors, if possible. Guidelines. Again, this is all straight from our website, but we are trying to make it not onerous. So it should be no more than about 1,500 words, 3 pages or so. First of all, obviously talk about your issue, the importance of the issue, how you're going to explore the issue. And that's where you can really talk about how your work connects the dots among the many factors that influence health. I think that's your chance to show that. The story treatment. The story treatment is really, where do you think you might get published? When? Is it a series of 6 stories? Is it 3 stories? Is it 5 stories and 2 podcasts? What does it look like? Just describe that to us. We want to hear about your outreach plan, specifically like what audiences you might be trying to reach. We want to hear about your experience, aptitude, and values. What makes you qualified for this work. We do ask for a resume, but we'd still like to hear just a little summary of why you're well suited for this work. And then talk about your outside commitments. I know that Our 3 media fellows this year are all freelancers, and they all have done some other projects, especially things that they were committed to ahead of time or ones that might come their way. They often will run those past us. But I think the important thing again is just knowing that this is like your full-time job mostly for the next year. So we want to hear about what those commitments are in the project. And then also along with that proposal, that 3-page proposal, we would love to see a resume and some work samples. And we would, all of these should be emailed to us as PDFs to this email address. And this is a little bit different than last year for anyone who maybe applied last year or was paying attention last year. We will ask for letters of recommendation only for people who are selected for interviews. So you do not need to include them in the beginning. A lot of people had questions about that last year. A little bit about the timeline. Obviously, we put the call out. We're having this call today. The big timeline is applications are due midnight, May 28th. That's when allowing will come in. And there's no, you can get it in at the very last minute. We're not really doing anything with it before that. So don't feel compelled to get it in now and it's going to get special treatment. You know, it's fine. We're not really looking at them till they all come in. We will select probably between 6 to 8 people from the applicants to do interviews with our Media Advisory Council and some of the NOVA team. The Media Advisory Council are amazing. They're all listed on our website if you want to check out who they are. They're, I think, 5 really accomplished people who help us with the selection process. So we'll do interviews mid to late July, make a decision and a notification in early August. We hope the term begins in mid-September. It's really flexible what that date is. But if it can be September 16th, that's great. And again, importantly, we hope that the media fellows attend our in-person scholars and fellows meeting in Baltimore, and we pay for all accommodations for that. It's not part of the stipend. I think that might be the end. So that's it. You can stop sharing, Erin. If you guys want to start putting questions in the chat, I will do my best to answer them. Also mention on our website, we have on the Media Fellowship page, we have an FAQs document that we're hoping to update after this call. And just the more we see, last year we saw a lot of the same questions more than one time. So if we see questions a lot, we will be adding that. Okay, so someone asked, is there a policy providing health insurance? No. So our stipend is what, 100,000 this year, plus 7,500 specifically for travel. That is intended to just cover all your expenses. We cover travel to Baltimore. And if there happened to be some other NOVA related meeting we wanted you to go to, we would cover that too. But we do not cover. Is there a certain number of stories that you look for as a deliverable? I would say that it's hard to say exactly a certain number, but when I described about, be sure that your proposal looks like a substantial body of work. And it depends how long it is. I would say our current fellows, I'm guessing they're going to have between at least 6 to 10 articles. They're all this year. They're all print, long form journalism. I think probably 6 to 10 each for the year. Some people, it might be fewer. It might be articles and podcasts, or articles and video stories, or or broadcasts. It's just all different. So, not a certain number, but like whatever you would say, that looks significant after a year's worth of work. How many fellows in total will you choose? 2. Our plan is to choose 2 this year. Specific subjects on health. I I'm not sure how to answer that. Again, mental health and emotional well-being is certainly, the loneliness epidemic, the youth crisis and mental health, certainly things that we care a lot about. Um, a lot of times, I would say from the experience last year, um, it's as much the proposal and you being able to demonstrate what you're going to do with the subject matter, your chances of publication are as important as the topic itself, because there might be a topic that we really loved, but it just didn't seem like it was as strong as another proposal. What about work samples that are in video or photo? I think you should be able to provide us with links to those, I would imagine. You can always reach out to us and if you're having any trouble with those.
We
Erin
do
has
ask
shared.
video. We do ask videos. I think it's in the application guidelines to be less than 30-minute runtime collectively, I believe. But we do mention it.
Okay.
So please don't send us a 3-hour movie.
Yeah. Yes. I will say last year we had 60 applicants and we ended up funding 3 fellowships. So it's certainly a lot competitive and a lot for us to go through. Question, does the stipend strictly fund the reporter's salary or may it be used for project expenses? Has data analysts or photographers? Absolutely, you can use the fund in whatever way you see fit. And I know our current fellows did it. I mean, this year, our stipend did not separate out travel at all. And that was some of the feedback we got from our current media fellows, is they thought it was really important to add like a $7,500 line just for travel. But if you go above that, you can use your 100,000. You can use it however you see fit to do this work, and you could share that in your proposal or not. I think they have used photographers too.
We do have a hand up. Do we want to?
Sure, I'll take a break for Golda.
Hi, yeah, and I'm just sort of scanning the frequently asked questions as you were talking. So apologies, this is already covered there. I guess my question is, when you talk about publishing and having a plan for publishing, I am an independent podcaster. So in theory, I guess that means I self-publish. And how does that fit in? Do I still need to have some kind of commitment or an editor at another publication who would agree to publish something?
I think in your case, what we probably would be looking to see is how you expect your podcast to get out there to a broad listening audience. Like, do you advertise? Do you partner? Here's my track record of what I've done in the past, just so we know it's not just going to sit on your website and not go somewhere else.
Right. So that would be something like a distribution or promotion or marketing plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Sure. The paragraphs just summarizing that work. I think that's just really important, is just that demonstration that of how you plan to get your work out there, because that's where we need help. We certainly, we had questions in the past of, well, can Nova pitch my stories? No, we can't. We might have connections that emerge that help you, and we certainly want to connect you with our scholars and fellows, especially if there's any who are doing work in one of your areas. Hopefully we can be helpful. And again, publishing your work on our website alone is not going to get you too far. This year's fellows all were focused on environmental health and pollution, and that is very correct, because we are very interested in planetary health. But it actually just turned out to be a coincidence that those were the strongest proposals. Among the finalists were other topics last year, but then the final 3 who were selected just happened to be just because they were very good and very good reporters. A book proposal. We have said we do not give this fellowship for a book proposal. So someone had asked that question. I guess if it was a series of articles that were going to be published and later were a book, that might be something different. But what exactly defines a journalist? That'd be a great question for all of you. I had that question before. I think that we want to do a lot of editing, freelance business. I think, again, we want to see a history of publication. We want to know that you can produce good stories and get them published widely. So if you have never been a full-time journalist who's done that and doesn't have a body of work that you can share, it's probably not appropriate for you, or you may, you just may not be as compelling as others. This is a great question. What has made proposals stand out in previous applications? Definitely that, this sounds very obvious, but they were well written, thoughtful, and engaging and clear. And really told us a story of why this journalist was passionate about a subject and what they were going to be able to do in a year's worth of time when they didn't have other distractions. And also, as I mentioned earlier, just really demonstrating the connections to the broad view of health, whatever that means to you. And again, I think you can look at our website to see examples of that, but we don't want an article just about breast cancer, so if it's breast cancer and Appalachia, or breast cancer and Black women and also their neighborhoods, what are the intersections that are all circling around this one topic? That is what really makes something stand out, where we look at it and we say, oh, they get it. Like, we at Nova, we are really trying to change the paradigm on health from focusing on disease, like it's all about what's wrong with you, to it's about what's right with you. And even further than health, to like thriving and flourishing as well. Those are what has made them stand out. I think also people who have demonstrated, people haven't said, I can tell you 100% that this article is going to be published in The Guardian in December, but they've said, I have connections here or there, or I have an editor who's really interested in this subject, or I just really know, like really demonstrate that, give us confidence that if you get the fellowship, you're going to be able to get your work published. Do you require an estimated budget? No. I think we might have in the past, but we don't. Ideal length for a written proposal, so three pages. I think it's 12-point font, approximately 3 pages. Are US media outlets preferred for publication? No, not at all. And I think that might also depend on your subject matter. If you have a certain subject that is really important for a certain country to be publishing, then that would make perfect sense. I think for us, again, although Nova is global, we have scholars who are from around the world, and we deal with international issues. Simply because we're here and we're requiring at least one travel for this year, we just find it easier to work with US-based journalists. Doesn't mean you have to be a citizen, but you're here in the US working right now. Specific story pitches. Oh, this is a great question. Are you looking for specific story pitches in the proposal, or is it appropriate to pitch possible storylines but acknowledge that the reporting process may ultimately lead to a different story angle? That is such a great question. I would say all 3 of our media fellows have said to us, I have 5 more stories I never planned on writing that have emerged. And I think we discussed that in the interview process too. Again, I think you need to balance showing, yes, I have a strong idea of where I'm going to get published and what this is about, but I'm going to follow these threads where they go and sources as I see them. I think that we totally value and appreciate that in the process. Any other questions? Anybody want to raise their hand and ask a question? Yep, Rachel
Yes.
Gottman. Hey.
So what is your ultimate goal here? Why are you folks doing this exactly? Like what do you feel like is your win-win, cumulative goal, if you will?
Yeah. So our big goal is we at Nova, we strongly believe again that health is influenced by many interconnected factors. It's the food you eat, it's the air you breathe, depending on where you live, it's the color of your skin, it's your zip code. In addition to the medical body focused approach that has been health for so long. And we believe that at Nova, and all of our scholars and fellows do that type of work, right? They might be an anthropologist. We have an anthropologist who's studying how to improve primary care. We have people who are studying nature prescribing, where you prescribe people getting out in nature to improve their health. We've worked with people who look at art and how art can promote healing. So this is something that we do pretty well as a little tiny think tank. But we recognize the storyline is not getting out into reaching as wide of an audience as we'd like it to. And so that's why we developed the Media Fellowship. And we also have found it's a really nice complement to our existing Scholars and Fellows community. So again, we have 25 amazing researchers, scholars, who do incredible work, but aren't always interacting with the media. They're publishing in amazing peer-reviewed journals, but the work only goes so far. So we feel like it really helps broaden our community, and so far it's been a really nice compliment.
Louisa has her hand up.
Yeah, sure.
Hi.
I wanted to ask you, hi everyone. I wanted to ask you what has been exciting, what has been joyful in the selection process that you can remember from last year? What has been fun and great about the whole thing?
I think, the media fellows that we brought on and working with them has just been amazing and been so much fun for us. I come from a background where I've worked with reporters for decades on different, communications and advocacy campaigns. I feel like a lot of my colleagues haven't, and had sometimes experiences with journalists that weren't always positive or friendly, so especially scientists and medical professionals during the time of COVID, right? And but we really wanted to not shy away from that, but really embrace journalism, mainstream journalism. And I think there was a little bit, everyone was maybe not nervous, but we weren't quite sure what to expect. And it's just been fantastic. I think we've learned so much from our media fellows. They've taught us so much. And I also think just we love stories, and we love storytelling, and the stories that are coming from our media fellows and the connections that they're making, and just making everything more human. And I have to say, okay, what's exciting for me is when I have seen, say, our fellows publishing in The Guardian, and I see that there's a line saying that this was possible because of the Nova Institute for Health. Like, I am just like giddy with excitement. I'm just so excited. And I can't wait to share it with other people, and it gets people talking. It's been really fun. And that is one of our requirements, is that, with this project, as you're pitching, that you do request about, an acknowledgement line that this was made possible by, sometimes depending on the paper or the news outlet, it has to be specific to a certain way, and we're flexible, but we definitely want to try to make our mark, get our name out there a little bit, get a little name recognition for us, which has been very great. Let's see, what other, it's for the Baltimore commitment. That's on our timeline. I think it's the 29th, September 29th to October 2nd. Is that correct, Aaron? do you have access to the researchers that are part of NOVA? Absolutely. So we will help connect them to you. And, depending on your topic, it might be worth you checking out our website where you can read about all of our scholars and fellows and see what areas of expertise they have. Because if there is someone who's working on an interest, something you're interested in, that could be a big plus for you and for the project. Can you participate in French or another language? I think we definitely are hoping for English language first. We have done some Spanish translations of our work, which has been really great. I hope we can do more of that. So it depends. I guess it partly depends on the publication plan and process. But again, this is for US-based reporters this year. Not adverse to other articles appearing in other languages, but that's not our primary intent. We're trying to start slow, conquer the English-speaking press first. Question: can NOVA assist the reporter with finding expert sources if necessary? No. I mean, yes, not editors, but yes, sources. I think that, again, we can give you access to our networks. We have our scholars and fellows. We also have a grassroots sort of network called the NOVA Network. We do a lot of really terrific online events called campfires. I encourage you to check them out. We do a few campfires a year that are discussions around a specific topic, but with incredible thought leaders and leading like innovative researchers. And we also do an annual online conference. And if any of those experts, I mean, I'm sure we would be able to try to connect you to them. Is there a preference for US health topics versus global health? No, not really. Rachel Gotham, you raising your hand?
So do you guys sponsor, underwrite any programs, podcasts, anything like that? Have you considered doing that? I'm just wondering, because you're a brand, you want to get your work out there. I'm just wondering, because we have a podcast with New England Journal of Medicine that we're just starting to figure out how to get out in the world and get sponsors. It's a new endeavor, but it's taking these kinds of stories that we're talking about and lifting them up.
We don't currently, but it's certainly something we might be interested in. So feel free to email us.
Okay, will do.
With what you're suggesting, because we are very interested in podcasts. We keep talking about wanting to create one, but there is a lot of time and effort in doing them well. But we're very interested in them.
I'll follow up then with you on that. Okay. Thank you.
If the reporter runs into challenges that may delay the completion, is it possible to get an extension? I don't know. I haven't encountered that yet. I hope that it's not needed. I mean, that might be a possibility. I think that, again, there might just be one story that's complicated, but I feel like our fellows are working on many stories around a common theme at one time. So hopefully the whole project wouldn't be derailed. Any other questions? Let's see if any other hands are up. I'll just say I'm really excited to see so many of you here today. And I hope this helps answer your questions. Like I said, we'll be continuing to update the FAQs document on our website, and we'll put a date on it so that you can see if there's something new. But I find a lot of people have kind of similar questions, so you might learn a lot by looking at that.
Let me know how to follow up with you if you don't mind, if you have an email or what have you.
Yeah, I will. Rachel, why don't you email our info@novainstituteforhealth.org, and that goes to, I think, me and Aaron. So
maybe we can set something up to talk about who's recovering.
Yeah.
Like now it's race-based medicine and what harm it is. That's what I'm working on now. So there's a lot of great stuff that you know, anyway, that's all. We'll get into that.
Do stories about issues in U.S. territories qualify for this fellowship? Absolutely. Again, the stories can be global, international. We just are looking this year for ease of logistics and ease of travel to have US-based journalists. Do we prefer proposals that suggest a variety of story formats, podcast, video, and print? I feel like that's something we would love to see. We saw a few of those last year. They weren't ultimately selected. I think one of our current media fellows is hoping to do a podcast series, but I personally think that that would make for a very strong proposal because there's so many different ways to reach people. Some people are listening to podcasts, some people are watching or listening to broadcasts, some people are print. And this year we had it was just kind of how it worked out that we had 3 print journalists, but that was not our intention for sure. We had finalists who did film and did podcasts. They just weren't ultimately selected. And some of them did have, stories dealt with multiple formats, which I thought was compelling. Anybody else?
No, we appreciate the work you folks are doing, and this is I think it's up all our alleys in terms of the kind of
Great.
work we love doing and we think is important, at least in my case, and some of the colleagues that I know.
Right. Well, we appreciate all of you because I know how hard it is to be a journalist these days. And your work is so important. And none of you get paid enough or enough respect. So I respect you. We thank you for your work. And whether or not this works out for you, I hope that you think about NOVA and our perspective and think about applying this broad view of health to your work because it really does touch everything. It's not just a public health, medical issue that we're talking about. So, all right. And we will post this recording online and you can share it with others if you need to. All right.